So let's start out. How did Bradley Flowers first get into the world of insurance?
So I was working for you remember those Nextel beep beep radios before cell phones or before iPhone, smartphones really a thing? I was working for a company called Southern Link, which actually was basically an off brand of Nextel beep beep radios. It was not a great product. And a buddy of mine came by the office and sat there with me for a few hours just hanging out, and angry customer after angry customer after angry customer came in, and I was handling all of them pretty well. I was like 21, 22, and he was like, dude, if you can sell this and you can do this, you can sell insurance. You need to come to work for me. So I was actually thinking about this the other day. I don't even remember quitting that job. Like, they may be still wondering where I am, but I don't remember what happened. But basically, I went to work for him selling insurance, or with him selling insurance. He was kind of my pseudo manager, and I liked the. I was actually doing my. I was pre-recording my panel for Elevate, actually, which is tomorrow. It's going to air tomorrow, and we were talking about that. And, I liked the fact that I was a professional. Like, I liked that part of it. That was what appealed to me, and so that kind of evolved into now. I like the fact I feel like there's a big white space in insurance, and I want to figure out how to fill that white space. So
I like that. And when you first started, were you just doing personal lines, life insurance? What was it?
I was doing life insurance only.
That's tough.
You can imagine a harder way to start.
Yeah.
Life insurance only for a company called Liberty National. I was not doing door to door, but I was pretty freaking close to that. And basically, I had a book of business that I did not get paid on, but that I worked, and essentially a paper, like it was a literal book of business. And and basically what I would do is every Monday or Sunday night, I would map out my calls for the next week. And then on Monday, I would make calls all day, set my appointments for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and try to sell some insurance. A lot of it was term conversions, or, converting term policies over to whole life, filling coverage gaps, things like that. And here's what was so funny. That's just so like hysterical, especially if you know me. So we got paid weekly. So if we wrote a policy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we got paid the next week on the policy, whether they were issued or not. But you had to, when you wrote the policies on your computer, right? They were saved on your computer, and you had to upload them to the home office via this like tool. And you could only upload one time per week. And if you uploaded after 3 o'clock on Friday, you did not get paid the following week. And I was so broke when I started. The logical thing is okay, you go to your house and you upload it on Wi-Fi. But most of my appointments were on the road, and my territory was all over the place. It would literally like cost me a day to drive back to my house to upload. And so then the next logical thing is we'll just buy a hotspot, which I eventually did. But when I first started, man, I was so broke, I couldn't buy a hotspot. And so there was many Fridays, more Fridays than not, that I was literally pulling into like a McDonald's because they had the best Wi-Fi on like 2 wheels, and uploading the application in the parking lot.
That's great.
Like literally, like more times than not, that's what was happening. So that's kind of how I got my start. And then about 6 months in, I realized that I really liked the P&C aspect of it. I liked the fact that P&C agents had a lot more volume. I felt like the pivot from P&C to life was a lot easier than just going straight into life.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And did you have and I only asked this because I had really no sales experience before I got into insurance. Did you have any sales experience before you got into the insurance world?
Just at the Southern Link office. But
just at the Southern Link.
I really didn't. I don't know that I considered myself in sales.
Yeah.
More of a customer service / sales position. I certainly did not love sales. Like I wasn't like a student of the game or anything like that. So
yeah. And that first agency you worked at, was it a large agency, mid-size agency? What was that office looking like?
So the way it was set up, I was sort of like my own boss to a degree. We were
So sort of like an independent.
Yeah, we were 1099. There was an agency, so to speak, but it was more of like a meeting place. But it was a large agency for that area.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. You know, before I ask you this next question, I'm gonna kind of just hop in and answer it for myself. But I'm gonna ask you like what you love about the insurance industry, because one of the reasons I started this new segment of the podcast is because most people that I talk to outside the industry look at insurance. It's not an attractive industry. It's they think it's white collar, which it is, to an extent, depending on where you work or who you work for or who you're dealing with in the industry.
Right.
So for me, listen, I'm only a one-man shop. You have employees, but what I see you doing at Portal is something I really admire. Like, you're documenting your process, right? And I see you'll put up certain videos where you have Drake playing at the office. Like you could tell like people at your office are having a good time,
We're documenting.
What's happening, man? So, there's things like that.
And we're documenting as much as we can.
Yeah, no, that's what it's all about. And I think it's more of, people outside looking in, they think you're at a computer all day, 14 hours a day, hammering away at the keyboard. And are there days like that? 100%. Listen, it's going to happen once in a while, but there's also days where I saw you had like an axe throwing event a little while back, like after hours, just cool things like that to keep the employees engaged, make it feel like a family and make it feel different than your average agency or office. So before, I just feel like I'm all over the place right now, but what do you love about the insurance industry?
So I like that. I feel like this may be an audacious statement, but I feel like that the insurance industry is behind as far as from a technology, futuristic, compared to a lot of the companies that are kicking butt today, like Amazon, Facebook, companies like that, companies that are leading the charge. Certainly the insurance industry is behind. But I feel like there's a huge white space, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
That, someone who it's easier to drive. It's a lot easier for our agency to drive change in the insurance industry than it would be if we were like in the social media arena or like we were trying to, do something with Facebook. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, So that's part of it. The other part is I'm a big fan of marketing. I love marketing, branding, things like that. The non-spammy kind of marketing.
Yeah.
And I'm passionate about that. But the marketing industry is so saturated. I would rather take what I love with marketing, pair that with insurance, and use my marketing, my passion for marketing to sell more insurance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, it is when you're trying to recruit young folks to get into insurance, it's very, very, very hard because it does not seem like a sexy industry. It's not. Obviously, we do our best to try to make it fun. But I have a theory that I've said quite a few times, which is the sexier businesses, the less money there is to make, and the unsexier businesses, the more money there is to make. Because you're not going to, it's kind of goes back to the whole, like, if it was easy, everybody would do it kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're the upside. Trying to do a few projects now, aside from the agency, that are super hard, but I just try to keep reminding myself that, like, the payoff is going to make up for it,
Yeah. What are you guys doing? I know I already mentioned like a few different things that Portal's doing differently. But what do you think really separates you from other agencies your size? Because obviously, there's some monsters out there, and then there's the one-man shop like me. So for people that are, similar agency to your size, like, what do you do to kind of separate yourself?
Well, it's you mean from a client standpoint or from an internal standpoint or both?
Yeah, I guess that's a good question. I would say from a client standpoint first.
Let me answer both. I'll answer both like that because they both kind of intertwine. So It's funny. I was talking about this week to somebody. It's like every agency out there, and this is the case with every business. I'm not just picking on insurance, but every agency out there, you ask them, why should I do business with you? What separates you?
Mhm.
They're all going to say customer service.
Yeah.
Or customer service. Like I had a guy was doing I do a little bit of marketing consulting on the side. Usually it's for either friends or clients.
Mhm.
And I had this guy as a friend of mine, and I was like, okay, well, what are your goals? What do you want to do? And I was helping him set up some ad campaigns. And he's like, I want to increase my business. I want to take my business from $300,000 to $1 million this year. Okay, well, how are you going to do that? He's like, customer service. Like, okay, but like, what are you going to do? He's like, we're going to give outstanding customer service. I'm like, no, like what, like, how are you going to do it? Like what? He's like, we're going to give exceptional, amazing, like you're just adding words to customer service. Like,
Yeah, right.
it does not work. Okay. So our big value add to all of our clients and more specifically, all of our referral partners. And we're not perfect at this, but this is what we strive towards, is to get your crap handled. We're going to get it done. Like we're going to handle it. And our secondary value add is we're going to make it as easy as possible to do business with us. I think that's the key, right?
That's something before I started my agency. I heard you say that, and I was that like really clicked with me. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I think the way you worded it was like making it as frictionless as possible.
Frictionless.
Yeah, that's.
I heard an example this week. It was on a TikTok video actually, and it was like this motivational speaker guy, right? And he was talking about, he's like, let's say you wanted to practice guitar lessons, right? You or practice guitar, get better at guitar. So you're going to practice the guitar, and you're going to make a commitment to yourself to get really good at the guitar, right? All right. What are the chances that you practice the guitar if it's sitting right here by your bed versus if it's upstairs in the closet? Yeah. If you've got to get up from the couch, walk upstairs, open the closet, get the guitar out, get the amp out, there's friction in that process. And your brain's going to go, I don't feel like doing all that. It's the same way with our insurance agency. We constantly strive to make it as easy as possible to do business with us, right? That's what Amazon does, right? Everybody listening and watching, the reason you bought something from Amazon recently may have been for price, but I guarantee you the bigger reason was it was easy and you knew what you were going to get. That's why our referral partners, I guarantee you right now, we got referral partners that prefer to refer to other agencies, but they still send it to us because they know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. You've got to eliminate the friction. Yeah. Buying insurance from an independent agency is the most inconvenient way to buy insurance. So we need to strive to make it convenient. And that doesn't mean we try to become the Amazon of insurance. It means we take things from Amazon. And that's why I hate, like, I know you're in New York, so Lemonade's big up there. I hate all this, like, just absolute hating of Lemonade, that because Lemonade does this, we can't be for it. Well, that doesn't mean you can't take certain things that some of these carriers that are trying to put us out of business do really well and then implement them in your business, right?
Yeah. And the truth is, like, it's so funny you said that, because I have a friend in Manhattan that lives downtown, and he's a renter, but he pays a ridiculous amount every month for his rent because it's Manhattan. And I asked him, I'm like, yo, who's your renter's insurance with? I'm just asking. He goes, Lemonade. And I'm like, I said, man, you should just let me take a look at it. I said, if it's a great price, stay where you are, but I just want to see like what kind of coverages they're offering you. And he's like, man, I don't even know what my policy is. I pay like $6 a month. And he's like, I'm happy with that. But, I think it depends on the person, right? Like, some people want a professional, and they want that professional advice. They want someone to look over their policy. They want to make sure they're covered the right way. They might even want a little extra protection so they can sleep better at night. And then you have the people who just, I don't want to say self-insure, but they're like, if anything happens, I'm cool with it. Like, I'm not even going to stress it.
Qualify your customers, I think, too. One of the things that we started recently doing is, if you don't have an email address, we're probably not going to write you.
Yeah.
I know that sounds silly. Believe it or not, there are people in Alabama that don't have email addresses.
I get it.
If you don't have an email address, our relationship is not going to work good.
Mm-hmm.
Because so much of what we do is through email, right?
Yep.
And so, and again, you have to find that balance between making it super easy, and we're not going to necessarily conform to everybody. We're going to find our target client, and we're going to make it exceptionally easy for that client to do business with us. We had a guy recently that we were reshopping him from one carrier to the other. We mailed, he didn't have an email. We mailed him a cancellation form to sign to get the policy canceled, the old policy. He didn't send it back in enough time. Both policies drafted.
Yeah.
And as much as that's our fault, it's his fault too. But if he'd had an email, it would have been taken care of in 5 minutes, you know? So I think finding your target client, you know, I don't necessarily want all Eliminates clients. There's a lot of folks I don't want. I don't necessarily want all the Geicos. I want to find those. I want to find the folks that are with Geico that do like the fact that things are automated, but still wouldn't mind having an agent on the back end, you know? But one of the things, as far as making it easy to do business, you know, whenever I'm quoting somebody, so like, let me tell you what your prospects do, okay? You give your prospects a quote, right? And it's more times than not, at least in my experience, it's an average quote, right? Let's say you're trying to save them money, or whatever goal they want you to accomplish, right? Whether it's saving money, improving coverages, whatever, right? All right. When you give them that quote, people don't like change and people don't like to take action.
Yep.
Okay. So they're looking, that's why the incumbent agent always wins, or wins a lot of times. They're looking for a reason to not do business with you, even if they want to do business with you. Okay. And when you give them a quote, their brain is automatically going to go to, well, I bet it's hard to swap, or I don't want to have to go through that process, or I bet I have to go to his office and sign a signature. So what we do, and Kenneth back there can hear me, but when not everybody in my office does this, but I've been preaching this. When you give somebody a price, the very next word out of your mouth needs to be, and all you have to do this is blank.
Yep.
For us, it's all you got to do to get this done is you give me the go ahead. I'll handle everything else. You'll get an e-signature in your inbox in a minute. We convey to our clients how easy it is, right?
I do that all the time.
You need to go ahead. We write so much insurance for closings, and a lot of our closings, we actually never talk to the client until it gets to closing. But if the client calls us, if the client was referred from a lender for a homeowner's policy and they call us, I bet we need to track that. I bet we're 85, 90% closing on that, because our value statement is, look, we work with a lot of lenders. Okay. The reason they refer to us is because we have a dedicated process, a design process for the closing process. I said process too much, but we have a dedicated process for closings. Okay. Yeah. You're going to close on time with us as far as insurance goes. All you have to do is let me know you want to go with me. I'll take care of everything else. Yeah. We write so much insurance that I guarantee you we're not the cheapest company on, because the client know they can just turn it over to us and we'll handle it, right? So we try to convey how easy we are to do business in our pitches.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned about processes, you hit the nail right on the head there. You know, I've been in the industry for almost 10 years now, and I feel like for me, I always had in my head what the right thing to do is as far as processes in my head. But when I started working with Dr. Billy Williams, one of the things he told me is have like process king, right? So he's like, have your processes written out. Like when somebody calls for a homeowner's quote, step 1, step 2, step 3. And obviously you'll deviate from the path sometimes because you're trying to keep the authentic vibe to it. But that helped me a lot over the last year of just having like the written processes down.
And dude, I give you so much props for doing that, because when you do get to the point where you have employees, it's going to be so much easier for them because you have the map. You know, one of the things we're doing that I'm doing too, I haven't been spending as much time on this as I should. I may actually work on this tonight some, is all of our main core processes. I'm working on, are you familiar with Lucid Charts?
No.
I think it's lucidcharts.com, LUCID. It's basically, it's like a flow chart.
Okay.
So what I'm doing, I did it for the cancellation process. That was the first one I did. But all of our core processes, I'm going on Lucid Charts, and it's free. I'm making a flow chart. So it's basically like, if they say this, you say this. If they say this, you say
Just write it down.
Remind me later. I'll send you a screenshot of it. But it's basically like, and so like you get them on the phone, and obviously there's a goal with everything, right? Everything you do needs to have a goal, right?
Yeah.
There's a goal with a cancellation. It's you want to get the X date. That's what you want to get.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to cancel. I'm a big believer in making it easy to cancel, by the way.
Yeah.
So everything was back to, let's get the deck page, get the X date. We're going to call you in 6 months. So anybody who's shopping their insurance, unless they just had a terrible experience with your agency, they're going to be okay with you quoting it next year because they want to keep everybody honest, right?
Yep.
So we're in the process of doing that and building flow charts for, I would say probably I'm working on our 10 core processes.
Yeah, that's awesome. You wouldn't think the insurance world has so much technology, but honestly, it's to the point where I had to check myself since I've opened. I'm like,
yeah,
all right, I got the management system. I got the email set up. I got the calendar. I got the, forms all set up. So now it's like, then you have agency Zoom, then you have ePay policy. Then before you know it, you have Loom and all these other things that pop up. And sometimes it's a little overwhelming, right? Like there's so many different options. And I actually find that I like looking into the technology. So I just go down wormholes and it takes up so much of my time. You know what I mean? But I like the idea of the flow charts. I think that's something that would be super useful.
Yeah. Is there PDF and there it is,
Yeah.
But yeah, the technology, I mean, in insurance will blow you away, especially if you're coming out of insurance. We've got a piece of technology we're about to start using in the next couple weeks. It's going to integrate directly with our management system and our phone system. And so what it does is it tracks every single data point for every contact for every client in the management system. And it creates a customer loyalty score based on big data. That's not the cool part. The cool part is it also integrates with our phone system. So when John Smith client calls in, it's going to link the number to that client in the management system, and it listens to the phone call, and it more specifically listens to the words that the client is saying and the tone that the client uses and factors that into the loyalty score.
Oh my God, another wormhole later. What's this program called?
I'll tell it to you off air.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
But I mean, it's and anybody that wants to know about it, reach out to me. I'm just not sure how public it is yet. But anyway, we've got a lot of cool stuff like that we're doing. But yeah, and my one advice to folks with technology is you need to either keep your technology light. Don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Obviously, compared to like a captive agency, we're going to have more tech, right?
Yeah.
But try to keep it as light as possible. Or if you can't keep it light, make sure it all integrates. So with us, when we add a client into our CRM, it flows. So we actually have a front-end CRM and a back-end CRM, and then our management system's in the middle. But the reason we can do that is because when information is entered into the front-end CRM, it flows to the back-end. So once it's entered one time, it's in all these programs.
Yep. Yeah,
so that's my one piece of advice for people as it comes to tech is make sure it all integrates. Otherwise, every piece of tech you add, you're causing more double entry, which is going to waste more time, which is counterintuitive to the point of using technology.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Well, listen, I can go down a technology wormhole with you, but I'm going to try to stay on a little bit of a track here.
Yeah,
I know, no, it's all right. I know you mentioned your employees before, and what I think I've seen only maybe a handful of companies that seem like they're keeping their employees really engaged with the business. And what I mean by that is not just with their clients and in the management systems. I mean, like on social media, video content, and you do a great job of that. And also JAG Insurance, I think they set the bar for me. I'm like, I find they just kill it. They have a whole media crew and everything. Yep. They seem to keep their employees really engaged in their office and online. I'm just trying to figure out how to spin this the right way. How have you seen your employees react to how active you are in social? Like I'm assuming there's a positive vibe to that, right? Because they're somewhat involved in the social media.
So it's interesting that you say that. Yeah. So at my last company that I worked for, where I was sort of in a pseudo agency principal role, everybody was kind of like, that world was a little more old school.
Yeah.
Now, most people know what they're getting themselves into when they come to work here. It's nothing for a camera guy to be walking around,
Yeah.
We're about to do that a lot more because he's about to be here full time. It's most part welcome with open arms, because one of the things that, there was a big discussion in a Facebook group about a year ago about whether or not you should let your employees brand themselves on social media. And I was the only person out of like 80 comments that was yes, which is about par for the course. And my reason is, look, like the only reason I'm sitting in an agency right here with a beautiful logo that I love to death that is mine is because I branded myself online in 2013. If I believe that to my core that everybody should do that, and I keep my folks from doing it, then what kind of person am I? And so my thought process is eventually, especially after this COVID stuff, everybody's going to realize they need to put content out and they need to brand themselves. Okay. Your brand is just your reputation. That's all it is. It's a 20/20 reputation. So eventually they're going to realize that they need to do that. And if they want to do that and I'm holding them back, they're eventually going to resent me and they're going to leave. Versus if I'm the person pushing them to do it, what are the chances of them doing me wrong compared to the first guy, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty welcome with open arms by the team. They love it. I want to encourage folks. Now I'm not going to push. If somebody wants to do it, I'm going to push them. But if they don't want to do it, I'm not going to make them do anything they want to do. If they don't want to be on camera, if they don't want to do this, don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's been surprisingly, it's been pretty good. So.
Yeah. Listen, I think for me, it's awesome. Like if I was working at like a big agency, right? And I look around like what agencies I would want to work at, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt, it would be Jag and Portal, because you guys just like the way you're running it over there, I think is just awesome and different. And like you said, you could tell just by your personality online that you are looking out for your employees' best interest. Does that make sense?
We certainly, that is looking out for, the way I look at it is my employees work for the customers and I work for my employees.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. I would not be where I'm at if not for them. And that's the truth. Sorry, I just got a buying request from a lender. I got to send it over to the producer that needs it. So yes, I would not be where I am if not for them. They are the most important factor to the success of Portal. The fact that what reason I'm telling them my words is it means a lot to me what you said. With if you could work for anybody, especially comparing us to Jag, that's a joke. Like they're so much better than we are. But at the same time, as much as that means to me, it's also designed to be that way.
Yeah, it looks like a cool place to work at.
Everything you're seeing from me has two purposes: attract potential referral partners or clients, or recruit. Like it's on purpose. Like the fact that you feel that way, as much as it means a ton to me, it's on purpose. That's one of the areas I think that we miss. I should have had the ability to go national when I started, because I bet you I had no short of 30 people outside of the state of Alabama wanting to come to work for me when we opened. Now, all 30 of those wouldn't have panned out, but let's say 10% of them did. That's great.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, well, listen, man, I wanted to ask you too, if I didn't ask you this, I'd hate myself for it. What was it like going to Hudson Yards and sitting down with Gary Vee? What was that whole experience like?
It almost doesn't seem real now. It's been almost a year. In a week, in a month, it'll be a year. No. In a week, it'll be a year. That's crazy that it's been a year ago. It doesn't seem like it's been that long ago, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like it's been it doesn't seem like it's real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really cool. You know, they're very, very, very nice there, as you can imagine. Got to tour the building, tour the office, the culture there. I mean, when you walk in the room, you can feel it, you know. But see, the coolest part, and I had last year had the fortunate opportunity to be around Gary, hang with Gary 4 times, that being the 4th. So I'd been with him 3 times prior to that last year. So we had gotten friendly, and we've talked a couple times this year so far. But seeing him kind of in his, I'd been around him in a social setting. I'd been around him at a presentation, but seeing him kind of in his element at his office, because I think like I'm a really like hard guy when I'm at, like I'm head down. Like I've been accused by underwriters before by being a little short, but I'm just very serious, very businesslike when we're dealing with something with a client. But then you have Gary over here, who to the public is really, really like soft and nice and things like that. But seeing him in his element almost gave me permission, not to be mean or anything like that, but to be just real serious and real businesslike. So seeing him like, so he, if you saw the podcast he did with Jay Shetty, so he did a podcast with Jay Shetty. That was right before us. So he did a podcast with Jay Shetty, comes out of that podcast and goes to a meeting with a COO that was like, you could tell was very serious, very like, just like very serious meeting. And then comes out, hops in a podcast with us, and then goes into another serious meeting right after. Like boom, 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 just like right there. And in an hour and a half that we were there, we saw 4 meetings. But just seeing him from an operations standpoint was, I think, a side of him that a lot of people don't get to see. And it was really, really cool. And it's like, I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but just seeing both sides.
I get that.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a little motivational too.
Yeah, man, it was cool. And you know what's funny? A lot of people would kill me for doing this, but I actually had the opportunity to go back up there a month later and didn't go.
Why?
I was just busy. I was like, you know, I wouldn't be going. I mean, I would be going A, to say I went, and B, for the possibility of having some sort of amazing business relationship happen. But the chances of the second thing happening were really, really low. And if I take that out of the equation, it's just going to say I went. And I was like, man, I got a lot going on right now. And it was right at the point plane tickets were like super, super expensive at that point. So I was just like, nah, I'm not going to go. So anyway, we'll be back up there one day.
Yeah, that's all good. What was the biggest takeaway as far as, well, like, what's the best piece of insurance advice he gave you?
Best piece of insurance advice. I think nothing different than any of his other message, but just build your brand and everything will take care of itself. You know, eventually one day people are going to say, hey, Alexa, buy me insurance. And you really need them to say, hey, Alexa, buy me portal insurance.
Yeah.
You know.
So build that personal brand.
Build the brand, make people want to do business with you, and that'll take care of everything else.
Yeah. Bradley, what would you say, just before we end this thing off, a couple of things I wanted to ask you. What's your niche market over there at Portal?
So we go after new home purchases on the personal line side. We don't want to be a monoline auto carrier. We don't mind being monoline home, but we don't mind being monoline auto. So we go after new home purchases. And on the commercial side, we go after restaurants. Just obviously not can be a challenge right now. We go after restaurants.
That's my sweet spot.
Amazon trucking. And outside of those two, we're focused on several, without going into too much detail, several Main Street type businesses, laundromats, dry cleaners, things like restaurants, things like that.
Cool. All right, man. And last thing, and then I'll leave you alone. Somebody that's outside the insurance industry that's looking in that might want to work for Portal or work for one of these other agencies, what would you tell them something good about the insurance industry?
Residual
that you think residual
income. If you look at every sales sector, right? most of the ones that are cool or sexy don't involve residual income. It's real estate, car sales, nothing against those guys. Mortgages, you make it one time
and it goes away.
Whereas insurance, you don't make as much up front, but you have that residual every year and you build it up. Residual income is the best thing that can ever happen to you, because the beautiful thing about residual income is it's kind of like building a brand. You build it up, 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 and then you stop putting attention towards it. It takes just as long for it to get back to zero as it did for you to build it up. So you build yourself a cushion. The only reason we're profitable today is because of residual income.
Yep. Yeah, that's 100% true.
That's the one thing to focus on. And the other thing I would tell them, if they're in New York, for example, okay, go to the top of the Empire State Building or One World Trade Center or Hudson Yards or wherever, and look out the window. Everything you see is insured.
Yep.
Just do that math.
Yep. Everybody needs it.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, the one thing that that really attracted me to it, and I didn't even realize until I was in it for a little while, was that there's so many, and I think you might have brought this up earlier in the podcast, is there's so many different avenues to go insurance, right? So for me, for example, I started in just auto and home, and I just grew my personal lines book, and that's all I did. And then after a couple of years, I started getting into commercial. And for me personally, like, I love the commercial side of things. But I also experimented in commercial. I did auto body shops. Then I did, hospitality businesses, restaurants, bars. Then I did contractors. And I kind of saw which one I liked the most. And for me, hospitality, I don't know what it is with the hospitality industry, but I love going to different restaurants in New York and just, sitting down with the business owners, kind of learning their story. And, you just get to meet a lot of cool people and see a lot of cool places. So that's kind of what attracted me more to hospitality. But you can kind of almost tailor it to what you like most. You know what I mean?
Yep. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And I think you need to start going after one thing, get really good at this one thing, and then add something else.
Exactly.
It's like, so I used to, back in the, if you're a poker player, you remember the full tilt days back when you could play online poker with full tilt, and it was not legal, but it wasn't illegal. I used to play online poker a lot. This was when I was in college, and I would play 9 screens at one time. So I'm playing 9 poker games at one time. And one time my brother asked me, like, how do you keep up with all 9 games? Like, well, I started with 1 screen. Okay. Then I added another one. Okay. So it's twice as hard. Right. Then I added another one. It's a third as hard. Every time you add one, it gets a little less hard. Versus if I tried to start with 9 screens at one time, I would lose my butt. And I think a lot of people try to come in, and certainly I've been guilty of this in the past, and try to be everything to everybody. You can't be successful being everything to everybody. Find your client, find your lane, find your products, sell that. Then once you get super successful at that, you can either add departments or you can add that as a skill and learn that. I'm heavily invested in commercial right now. I'm really going after some commercial. I'm really learning some commercial. We're going after some super big commercial appointments. So that's what we got really, really, really good at Auto Home, that we kind of got it on autopilot.
Yep.
As you see, we've had buying requests come in while we've been on this. Now we're moving over to something else,
Yep. No, I couldn't agree with that more. And especially once you start getting into certain commercial risks, like, certain bars might have all these different exclusions that if you're not real experienced in it, you're not going to know about, like certain assault and battery limitations and things like that. And then contractors have their own issues. So yeah, like you said, focus on one thing and then expand. Otherwise, you're just going to overwhelm yourself. Similar to like me and the technology issue. But listen, Bradley, that's basically everything. I appreciate you doing this and hopping on with me. Is there anything that you want to leave off with?
Just follow the insurance.
All right. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No, man. Just, some people may listen to me and think, okay, well, what product is he trying to push? Or what? I'm not trying to push anything in my audience. I'm just an insurance agent who likes to create content and puts content out to the audience. The way I get paid is a subscribe to the Insurance Guys podcast. So
beautiful.
Do that.